Did any of you watch the UFC before you were signed? Were you fans of any particular fighters?
Still not watching.
Still-
I remember going to Blockbuster, if any of you guys even remember what that is.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, seeing the cassette tapes and kind of being confused, like, is this WWE or is this, like, what is it? Like at that point, you didn't know. And I grew up in Colorado, so that's where UFC actually started. You know, there was these CDs of these men with their arms crossed on the top of the case, and there's a cage behind them. And so in my head, I thought it was just, another form of WWE.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I signed to the UFC, and I had never been to a UFC fight before. So then my managers were like, no, you have to go to a fight before you fight. Like, you have to. So they brought me out to Vegas, and they were like, you have to see a fight before you fight for the UFC, and which was super awesome because I got to feel what I was going to feel that night.
My old manager, he let me watch the fighting for the generation, yeah?
The documentary.
On UFC Fight Pass, yeah. So amazing, so same story.
I went to the fight on my first fight I did. I went to the cage. I just watched Mike Tyson fights with my dad, but I never went to the MMA.
Do you remember, Paige, who was fighting on the card you went to?
Which fight? Oh, gosh. It was a fight that somebody on Team Alpha Male was on. So I came for that.
Makes sense, makes sense. You know, as we sit up here and you guys are interacting, it seems like there's kind of like this unspoken support between each other. We've seen support on social media between one another, but you know, when you really get into it in terms of numbers, there's just a few women who are signed to the UFC compared to the amount of men on the roster. Do you feel like there is some sort of unspoken bond that you all have because you all understand what it takes to be in the position that you're in?
You know, for me, I feel like successful people pull people up with them, and I think we should be happy for each other because every time somebody gets a success or somebody gets a sponsorship that maybe hasn't been touched before, it's a success for all of us. Or like Michelle now being on the ESPN Body Edition, which is amazing. Like,
yeah, we're going to talk about that in a second.
That's a big deal, you know, that's a big deal. That's getting recognition for all of us women in the sport that we're here and we're taking this stage by storm.
Yeah, before we get into the Karate Hotties magazine cover, like I said, we all work in this male-dominated industry. Have you experienced speed bumps in your career because you were a female or because you were kind of the X factor in a world that was so used to it being full of men?
You know, I think in anything that you try to pursue that's worth pursuing, there are going to be bumps in the road. But those bumps in the road, those losses, those adversities, all those things trying to pull you back are the things that make you stronger. And so for me, I'm grateful for all the setbacks because it's what's built my character.
How would you tell a woman, whether they're in the field of fighting or athletics at all, but just in a similar situation, how would you tell them is the best way to handle it and make sure that they come out of it in a positive manner?
Yeah, you know, I would say for me it wasn't really scary my first day at the gym, but for me, when I walked in and saw it was all men, it was actually like a really positive thing for me because, I mean, I've talked about how I went through some significant bullying, and it was all by women. So walking in and being surrounded by men, it made it so much easier. And that's something that women just have to deal with. But, I mean, you walk in and it's like you get this sense of confidence. Knowing you're training with men, you're getting stronger every day. And it 100% gave me my confidence back of something very significant that I went through as a kid. And it helped build me as a person. And I think that anybody who tries mixed martial arts can grow as a person.
Yeah, Cris and Joanna, I see you guys nodding as Paige is speaking. Do you both agree with that you kind of felt like it was a bit easier because you were maybe one of the only females in the gym?
Is it easier because you're the only female in the gym?
In the beginning, when I start training and shoot the box, I have just me, the girl, and 40 guys. It's really hard, but because always you go home sad because you always fight against guys. But you know, one thing every day I learn, like, okay, today I'm gonna cry, but the other day I'm gonna make somebody cry. And then, and then every day, you know, I keep training, I keep learning. And then one thing always my friend tell me, Cris, just invest. Train, train, one day you're gonna fight, you're gonna show who you are. And I keep training, but really hard when they don't have a girls, because sometimes you go training, the guys sometimes go very easy with you because think you so much delicate, don't want to touch you. And you say, no, touch me, I want to fight, I want to fight. And then when start touch you, do start to touch you hard, you know, but I think this is make you getting tough in the gym, and for sure in the fight, if you train really hard in the gym, gonna make you a good fighter in the cage. Everything you do inside the gym, you're gonna do inside the cage. This is always getting me, improving me, for me better in the gym. And I think any girls now gonna start training, it'll be easy because it really open the mind a lot of fighters, a lot of people, because now MMA is very popular everywhere. And but in the beginning, 10 years, 15 years ago, it's really different. And my family don't accept it. And now they accept it as a really job. You know, it's a fighter against other fighters, two athletes prepare for that. And, you know, I'm very happy, you know, the women's MMA growing a lot. And then I have the opportunity to be here and the show getting better in the cage, and the show the women can fight like a man. You know, they can do exciting fight for all the fans.
Absolutely. I mean, you were all training before the UFC decided to have women's weight classes. So it wasn't like it was new for you guys. You were all putting in the work before the UFC said, hey, let's start women's divisions. But once those divisions were actually added to the UFC roster, was there finally a sense in your minds of equality between both the men and women in the same sport, but now the highest level of competition also includes women?
I knew that it was just about the time, you know, when we will get to the UFC, and about showing to all of you that we can fight and we can take over, and we are taking over the UFC more and more. Like you said before, the Fox record was made by...
Yes, so just backstage, one of the members of our PR staff, Paige, was telling us that two of the highest rated Fox shows, or the two highest rated Fox shows, were both headlined by women, Holly Holm and Valentina Shevchenko, and then those two in the middle, Paige and Michelle. So it's amazing.
And UFC 193 in Melbourne, Australia, it was amazing show as well. So, yeah.
Which you were a part of, broke the record for the live gate we've had. Ronda Rousey and Holly Holm headlined that card. You defended your belt on that card. So obviously the women are here to stay. It's been a whirlwind couple of years, right, since the women have been inducted into the UFC. So do any of you have specific moments or memories that really stand out as like, wow, this has been such a cool part of my life because I've gotten to be a part of the UFC?
Yeah, for me, my biggest highlight moment is definitely my UFC debut. And that was just walking out to the cage. You know, I didn't have as much experience as a lot of people that I was fighting, and walking out, and I was like, this could be the only time I ever get to do this, and I better make it count. So walking out that moment, it really changed my whole life. And then right after that, I was able to get the Reebok deal. And because of the Reebok deal, I was able to actually afford rent for my apartment and be able to train in Sacramento with Team Alpha Male. So, I mean, Reebok and signing with the UFC, it changed my entire life.
Yeah, that's amazing.
For me, it was moving out to Albuquerque, and that was way, yeah,
505, yes.
It's a fight town, and there's nothing else to do but train, which is great for me. But I stayed in the dorms for the first 4 months, and I was the only girl, and I slept on the bunk bed, top bunk bed, right next to the refrigerator. And I woke up to the sound of the bell downstairs where everybody was training, and that's where I stayed for 4 months. And then after that, I mean, this is way back in the day, you know. After that, I remember saving up enough money to have my own apartment, training full-time, working full-time, but putting up a vision board, and one of those visions was me fighting in the UFC. And at that point, Dana was like, no way in hell are women fighting for the UFC. Like, it just doesn't make sense. you know. And now he really has embraced us and sees how passionate we are about it, and not because we want to be female fighters, because we are fighters, and that's it. We're not female fighters, we are fighters. That's it, you know.
Absolutely. Joanna, as champion,
I think we all have same story or similar, you know, so we are just normal, you know. We were normal before we got into the UFC, but my life got changed because of the UFC, you know, but the thing is, I used to work full time, I used to train full time, even I became a UFC champion, and so if you're dreaming about being a UFC fighter or the champion, it's all up to you.
Cris, you're having the opportunity to compete for a UFC belt finally. Do you feel things becoming different in your life as that time approaches?
You know, talk about the really special time when I fight in UFC. I think this special. I think maybe okay, the belt will be really special too. My first fight, I did UFC in my city, Brazil, and then when I walked to the cage, this fight, I was so emotional to see everybody crowd saying my name, and they have a lot of people there that went to my first fight, like 10 years ago. And then they were there and then share it because everybody wait for me, you know, debut in UFC. And then when I walked to the cage, I was don't know if I cry, if I smile, if I say, man, I cannot cry, I'm going to the fight. But I was getting emotion to see, you know, all my fans there and they say my name. And, you know, I feel very blessed to be the opportunity for fight for the belt, you know, the UFC in 1 month. 3 weeks, and I think this is, you know, I'm very thankful for all my fans. They make this happen.
Yeah. UFC 214, she takes on Tonya Evinger, and we can talk about that in a little bit. As I look out here, this crowd is almost split 50-50 between male and female. And I've been fortunate enough to work with all of you before and kind of watch you as you compete through the UFC and get these different accomplishments in your life. And there's a pleasure that a lot of us who work for the UFC get to have, and it's watching you all meet your fans. There are fans that will cry. There are little girls. I just remember with Joanna's open workout in Dallas, there were young girls crying because they couldn't believe they were meeting their idol. All of you have become role models and inspiration without even asking for it. I've got to imagine that's a role you all take pretty seriously.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I take really seriously. I definitely want to use my story and my platform to inspire people. And we recently had the athlete retreat, and we had a few guest speakers, and one of them was a football player, and he was talking about how he had to learn that him playing in the NFL was not his purpose, it was his platform. And that's what I really had, like, a big realization, like, this isn't my purpose. It's not my purpose to fight for the UFC, it's my platform. And I'm using that to inspire so many people, and I have my book coming out next year, and it's really going to talk about how you can go through something as significant as I went through in anti-bullying, and I'm really hoping that I can inspire people because a lot of girls have gone through something that I've been through, and they don't know what to do, and it leads to a lot of suicide, it leads to a lot of these terrible things, and I'm hoping that, you know, I do think that God put me here in this position for a purpose and for my platform.
That's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful message. Do you ever feel overwhelmed that people are so thrilled or honored to meet you that they are crying or they'll wait for hours in line to take a photo or get an autograph? Is that still a little mind-boggling?
That don't happen to me yet. No.
Oh, please. I do not believe that for 1 second.
Yeah.
I think the funny ones, one fan talk to me, take X for the picture, and they talk to them, they say, you really nice. I say, I look at him and yes, I am really nice. I cannot be same in the cage, outside the cage. It's really funny this day. It's really nice, yeah.
I think it's cool that, you know, when we put ourselves out there, you know, we're basically putting ourselves out there for the world to see us at our most vulnerable. Win or lose, like, that's just the name of the game, right? There's only two endings to the story. You either win or you lose. And the fans have such a respect for that. And when they're fans, through the ups and the downs, that's what makes me appreciative. And just when I share my story and then other people, direct message me, or they reach out to me and they write me letters about like the struggles that they're going through, that's the stuff that touches me, because it kind of brings everything back to reality. It makes me realize that I'm not the only one struggling, and because I'm putting myself out there for the rest of the world to see my struggle, it makes it just a little more easier for all of us to understand that we're going through it together.
So as this sport grows, Joanna's being shy today, by the way. I'm smiling at her to see if she'll answer, but she's being shy. It's fine. I'm going to let the champ go. But as this...
I'm in pain. I went for a walk 3 hours.
Oh, she's tired. That's fair.
I'm kidding.
But as this sport grows, you guys are going to be, in 10 years, in 10 years, you're going to be looked at as the pioneers of women in the UFC. What are your hopes for the sport and for the women's divisions in this organization? For when you guys are long gone fighting, what are you hoping is the future of it?
Yeah, for me, I hope we just leave a legacy, and I hope we can spark so much passion in other girls out there. And we already see it on social media now. There's so many younger kids that are getting into MMA and starting jiu-jitsu. And my little cousin is 8 years old, and she started jiu-jitsu in Colorado. And it's really exciting because I hope that that younger generation can just spark their interest and become so passionate about something that we're so passionate about. And hopefully soon we'll keep adding women's weight classes to the UFC. We just opened the 125 division here pretty soon, which is really exciting. So I think it's just continuing to build up this amazing sport.
Yeah, when we asked for questions on social media, a question that we got over and over and over again was actually for everyone's advice for young girls who would like to start in the sport, whether they're going to end up in the UFC or not, but girls who enjoy watching the sport and would like to get their foot in the door. What were your suggestions as to where to begin or what to focus on? That was asked over and over again, so I'd love to just hear, your thoughts about where young girls should really start that journey.
I think, like, what keeps me going, my goals and dreams, because if, there can be so many people saying me, wake up, you must go for training. But at the end, if I don't want to do this, I'm not going to do this, So when I'm tired in the middle of the camp, not just physically, but mentally as well, I'm like, I don't want to wake up. So I'm thinking of my goals and dreams, and it keeps me going, really, so, yeah.
Do you feel like if they have a passion for it, that's really the first step?
Yeah, it is. You must enjoy your life. You must enjoy your way, your road, your life.
I think you have to prepare. It cannot be easy, I think everything in life no easy. It's something easy, go away easy too. And any sport and the other career too, it's no easy, but you very appreciate when you get your goal. And I think you just have this spirit, you cannot give up and, keep going. No problem, it be hard, by the way.
I agree with all the ladies that at the end of the day, it's the persistency. It's easy to go balls to the walls for one day and say, I did it, but can you do that 7 days a week? Can you do that, 4 weeks out of the month? Can you do that, 4 seasons out of the year? Can you do that 10 years long? Can you do that 20 years? Is it worth 20 years of your life?
It is.
Exactly.
But yeah, the same thing. You cannot stop. You can slow a little bit, you can slow down, but you cannot stop. We must keep on moving all the time,
As you guys shared your stories with us in the beginning of how you got into the sport, like I said, it seemed like destiny and fate really played a part in this. But if you weren't fighting, what do you feel like you'd be doing? Like, is there something where you thought like, oh, I know, I would do that if I wasn't a fighter?
Yeah, I would be a professional chef. I love cooking, love it, and that's what makes probably my weight cut so hard, because I love food, I love it. And yeah, so I just recently competed on Chopped, woo, and it was
we watched.
So much fun. Yeah, so I think I would be a chef, I think.
I love that, and we would have you all cook for all of us.
Or a NASCAR driver.
Very different two careers, but I like it.
Me, I think I'm gonna be veterinary. I really like animals. But for my mom, she wanted to be dentist before. I said, man, I can take out teeth, no problem, but I cannot be dentist.
But you are. You punch people to the face.
I can do the usual way, but you know, I like an animals and probably veterinary. Yeah.
Maybe not board certified, but still I think you're a dentist. Nice.
I try cheap. It's okay.
Joanna, Michelle, is there anything that you think you'd be doing, or do you just know that this is what you were going to be called
I always
to?
wanted to beat people for a living, you know? No, I'm kidding. I used to do climbing, and I used to do so many things. I used to help
Like
my
rock
parents
climbing?
at the store, and so I think I have few plans for the future and for the business. So I'm going to be a good businesswoman, I hope. Jennifer will teach me how to do this.
Where's Jennifer at? All right, there we go. Michelle?
It would be something within the martial arts realm. It took over my life, and it will continue to be a part of my life after I'm done fighting.
Yeah, absolutely. And is it something you're passing down to your daughter?
If it's something she wants to do, you know, obviously I think that it's important for her to get a good foundation. She needs to learn how to defend herself, and martial arts will give her that confidence and just that body awareness. But at the end of the day, it's what she wants to do. And if she wants to go off and do something completely different, then I'm 100% behind her.
It's a good mom. All right, let's get into some fan questions that were submitted on social media. I'm sorry if I butcher everyone's names or usernames. I'm just doing my best to read what your usernames are. So let's start with Vinny Ledoux, I think his name is. It was just saying, could you imagine women's MMA would come this far in such a short time? Last year, during International Fight Week, UFC 200 was headlined by women. Again this year, the card of the pay-per-view during International Fight Week, Saturday night's UFC 213, is headlined again by women. Like Joanna mentioned earlier, UFC 193, another women's card. They're breaking records on Fox. Did you ever imagine, even when the weight classes began, that it would come in with such a bang?
I did. You know, honestly, I knew that this generation was going to take the UFC by storm, and women was going to take over, because every fight I had ever been to that wasn't a UFC fight, everybody only wanted to watch the women's fight. And they're like, all right, I got to watch the women's fight, then I can go, because everybody wants to see it. It's exciting, we're technical, we're doing something that nobody's ever done before. So it's really exciting how far it's come, but I'm definitely not surprised.
I think people are drawn towards natural, raw emotion, and that's what women bring to the UFC. And because we're able to look into the eyes of the women, none of us, I don't think you are so open with, your emotions after the fight. I think people have an appreciation for that, and I think that's why it's become so popular. You see Miesha Tate walking out to the crowd, and she's crying because she's so emotional. She's getting ready to fight. And people are drawn to that because it's just our natural nature to be emotional.
Yeah, this is what Cris said, oh, you are actually nice, I heard that. Oh, you are not that violent, during the fight, I'm not, of course I'm not, So, yeah, that's the thing.
I can attest they're all sweethearts. Not that it matters either way, whether they're nice or not nice. What matters is how they perform, but they are some of the most genuine, kind women and athletes that you will ever come across. I just need to say that. I feel fortunate that I get to work with all of them on a personal level. So, we got a lot of questions also. Who are your favorite male fighters? Are there guys that you love their styles? Or, I guess you could say females as well, but are there anyone... Who? Is there anyone that you say, I can't miss that fight?
Robbie.
Who?
Robbie, Lawler, and Conor.
Well, of course, yeah.
Both of them.
Yeah, for me, it ends up just being my teammates. Of course, back in the day, I used to love Forrest Griffin, and that was the one person when there was only fights once a month, I would make sure I could tune in to watch him fight. And then once I became a part of the UFC, it's just I can't miss my teammates fight, and that's it.
Absolutely. Michelle, is it the same way with the Jackson's fighters? You have to just watch all of them, even though there's 27 in the UFC?
Yeah, they're all, it's a huge family over there, so they're all my brothers, and you're already invested because you train with them, you put in the time and the sweat, and so you're pulling for them because they're your family.
Cris, same with your teammates?
I have so much friends that I would like to watch fight. The girl, I can say Joanna. I think she's the first girl I watch.
An assassin
like
in
to
there.
watch. I don't want to miss one fight of her. You know, I like fight Verdun fights. You know, my close friends. I think Damian Maia is always different fights. You know, and have a lot of fights I like to watch.
Yeah. I mean, the sport is just so full of talent. It's hard to even say on a card like that you're not going to watch. It's always just full of talent. Another question that we got from a lot of people was, what are your favorite things to do outside of the gym? UFC fans sometimes only see one facet to who you are, and that is while you are preparing to fight and while you are actually fighting. But you guys have lives outside of fighting, believe it or not. So what are some things that you like to do or are passions of yours that have nothing to do with being in the gym?
I like to scrapbook.
I like how you said that so quietly, like, should you be embarrassed? No, that's great. Passes the time.
Yeah, for me, I'm very outdoorsy. I mean, I grew up riding dirt bikes, so I love to get out there on my bike still, get out there on my Harley. I like to paddleboard, go to the beach. I think I'm like a regular person, except I punch people in the face for a living.
There you go. Chris, what about you?
I like to do hikings. I like to watch movies and stay with my family. But I like more do hikings than, you know, a lot of things. I think a lot of good. I have time for me. It's like I can think about my life. I think a lot of things, and then when I run about my fights, about my life, or something I want to change, then like my mental time.
Yeah, it seems like when all of you are outside, it's almost a time to reconnect with yourselves because there's always so many distractions, I'd imagine, between media obligations and training. It seems like that's why you all find an energy with what you do outdoors. Joanna, you mentioned you played basketball back in the day. Do you still hoop it up or what?
Sometimes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Are you good?
Just okay.
I'm sure you're
Just
really
okay.
good. I'm sure we're gonna have to send embedded camera crews to follow her one day when you're not in a camp, so you don't get injured. Because yeah, we can't talk about that. Anyway, let's talk about something that is in the news and is happening here in Las Vegas. I want to get all of your take on this. Conor versus Floyd. Are you excited for this?
Yeah. MMA all the way.
Yeah, this has got to be like really fun for you guys to watch, right? I know it's fun for us to kind of see all the media attention that's going around it, but at the end of the day, it's cool to see that many people now pay attention to the UFC as well, right?
Yeah, you know, I'm really excited for it just because I feel like it's going to bring so many more fans over to MMA and bring such an attention draw to MMA and all of us athletes. And, you know, Conor's been able to break a lot of barriers and bring a lot of fans over that weren't necessarily here before. And I think no matter how well Conor does, it's just such a success for him and for us as well. So it's really, really exciting.
Yeah. It's going to be crazy here in Vegas, but
Are you going?
I hope so.
Can you get me a ticket? I think a lot of people are underestimating McGregor, and I hope they do, and I hope he's a huge underdog so I can bet some money on him.
We don't have a ton of time left, so I kind of want to go down and speak to each one of you individually quickly about the things that you have going on before this panel wraps up. Chris, like we mentioned earlier, UFC 214, you're the co-main event. You and Tanya Evinger are competing for that women's featherweight title. We finally get to see this happen. We've been talking about it for years, but finally you're getting your shot at a title. What can we expect, and how excited are you for this fast approaching fight?
You know, I just want to show for new fans and the fans, my haters, the fans really love me, why I'm defeated 10 years. And they're gonna see this 214, UFC 214. I'm ready, I'm training hard, and I train like #1 contender, and this day will be my day.
Seems like everybody's very excited to see this fight as well. Paige, you made a move. You're in the Pacific Northwest now. I know that you've been saying, what card do you want to see me on? So I know there's got to be a fight in the works. But moving and training in different places, that's a lot going on. What is that like for you right now?
Yeah, you know, I have the opportunity. I've been able to be really successful in my career, to be able to move back and be with my family 100% of the time. And that's something I've been away from them for the last 9 years. So it's really exciting to spark this whole new passion in me. And I'm training with Chael Sonnen's camp. So shout out to Chael. He brought me out there and he hooked me up with his whole team. So it's definitely training like I've never had before, so I'm very excited, and I'm working with the UFC, and we're going to have a fight announcement very, very soon, so stay tuned.
Ooh, looking forward to that. Always fun to see 12 gauge inside the octagon. Michelle, we saw a magazine cover with you.
Did you?
Yeah, that was neat. What was that experience like, being on the cover of the Body issue? I mean, this is like Paige said, it's no small feat. And you looked incredible, but it looked like the shoot was maybe freezing. I don't know.
It was snowing at the time of the shoot, so it was a little nippy. But yeah, it was a huge experience, something that I was nervous to do, something that I was you know, a little scared to do, but at the end of the day, the things that scare you is what makes you, you know, stronger. And I did it because I want the idea of the body to, the stereotype of the body to be different and something other than sexual. You know, I want people to look at the body as an athletic piece of art. You know, we all are given this body when we're born, and you can literally do whatever you want with it. You can destroy it, or you can build it up to become whatever you want it to be. And that's a very powerful thing. And that's the message that I wanted to get out there.
Well, it was beautiful. Did you know you were going to be on the cover when you were actually shooting it?
I did not. I didn't know until the week of, and then I didn't even know what picture they were going to put up until the night before they posted it. So.
What was your reaction?
I loved it. I think it embodied every aspect of me, and like that's just me in the nude.
Body hottie. Naked. Joanna, you defended your title in Dallas. I know you went back to Poland, but I know you, and I know you don't spend a lot of time out of the gym. I've got to imagine that you're calling Dana saying, I want to fight again, get me on a card. Is there anything we can look forward to in the future?
Hey, Dana is on vacation. So I didn't call him, but I texted to him. I want to fight again, but yeah, we must sit and talk. Because I moved to American Top Team to Florida, so I don't have time for my sponsorship and media obligations back home in Poland. So last 5 weeks were crazy. I didn't have time for training, but it was good. I could relax physically, mentally, spend some time with my fiance, my family and friends. But yeah, it was nice, but I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to be in Vegas. I love this city, and I'm happy to be part of International Fight Week because last year I fought with Claudia Gadeja. It was pretty big fight, but so I'm happy to be here and spend some time with you. So I want to sit and talk to Dana and Sean and see. I would like to fight in New York, Madison Square Garden in November. I want to be back to the historical place again.
It is a pleasure to watch all of you compete. I know I speak for the fans as well, that we know you put it all on the line. We know mentally, emotionally, and physically you prepare yourselves as best as possible, and we appreciate the sacrifices that you make and the fact that you always put on a show. There is never a boring fight when any of you are in it. Thank you so much for sharing some of your thoughts with us and being up here. We appreciate it. Please, guys, give it up for the women of the UFC.
Thank you.
And before I let you go, now, the ladies, I don't think were even briefed on this backstage. Maybe you were, but I've got a bunch of tickets for Friday night's Ultimate Fighter finale, headlined by Michael Johnson and Justin Gaethje. Each lady up here is going to get a pair of tickets. Show them why you deserve to get their tickets. Make some noise, jump up and down, show them your shirt, show them your pride. You guys will pick. You can just point to them.